Hello everybody, this is Goji73 here with a figure review. It is time for another NECA figure review, and now that the 1994 Godzilla has been reviewed and put out of the way, let's pull out the next NECA figure that I have bought. Godzilla, 1985. Now first off, history we're going to skip, because we all know Godzilla, but for anybody who really wants to know, this particular version of Godzilla you're looking at only appeared in one movie, Godzilla 1985. Or for you elitists, The Return of Godzilla. Now let's get on to detail, because there is quite a bit to talk about with him. Now unfortunately, unlike the more chill stuff I had to say for 1994 Godzilla, this one unfortunately is a bit of a letdown. Especially for how much hype this particular Godzilla was getting when it was first released. As you can see, this particular incarnation of Godzilla is pretty lacking. The dorsal fins are extremely small. Again, he's got the shorter than usual tail. The paint job, which is the glossiness I was talking about a lot in the 1994 Godzilla, is still present, which is unfortunate considering that this version of Godzilla wasn't glossy either. The only real plus side I can give to this figure is the head, because this actually looks like the 1994 Godzilla, which goes without saying because originally this is not what he was going to look like. Just going to pull him off to the side and show you what he originally was going to look like. As you can see, originally he was going to be the Grinch, dressed up like Godzilla, that or Gabra with a tail. But as you can see, while there has been an update, it hasn't been a big one, needless to say. The body is more or less the same. The only real thing that's changed is the head. Because comparing those two together, you can see that he still has the small spines, the glossy paint, and the short tail. Only real change, again, is just the head. I'll show you more of that when we get on to sizing, because I have something else to pull out to show you just how little has changed. And while I did say I will try to be as unbiased as possible with comparing these with Monsters Arts, unfortunately I'm going to have to slightly go against my word on that, because while there is no Monsters Arts of this incarnation of Godzilla, because this is the first of its kind to be super articulated, it's unfortunately a letdown that this one wound up the way he does here. Because as you can see, the detailing is very lacking. The body's okay, but the spines and the tail, and to a lesser degree the legs, are all pretty lacking. And now let's get on to articulation. Much like the 1994 Godzilla, this one pretty much has the exact same points of articulation as well. The legs rotate at 3 different degrees: the ankle, the leg, and the knee. I don't believe the knee goes back and forth like the 1994 Godzilla. I think it just swivels. I could be wrong, but it doesn't seem to be swiveling for me. Arm only seems to move at 4 points: the shoulder, the elbow, and the wrist. There's the wrist. Elbow, oh jeez. Yep, elbow. The waist bobbles around like this. Tail has about 3 points. And the head has about 3. 2 in the neck, and 1 for the mouth. That is another plus to the figure. I probably already stated it earlier, but the head actually does look pretty good. It does look like 1984. Pity the rest doesn't. So yeah, about the same points of articulation, which is okay. Now, with that said, let's get on to sizing, as well as a bit of a comparison as well. Seeing as I do have a figure of this incarnation of Godzilla that is superior in terms of sculpt and appearance, let's pull him out. The Memorial Box 1984 Godzilla. That's one more plus I gotta give this particular version of Godzilla, the fact that he looks forward whereas this one looks down. But getting back onto the review, as you can see, this one has a much more bulkier build, whereas this one is much more Grinch-like. The tail on the Bandai is much more longer, whereas this one is not. The spines also look big, which they were in the film, whereas these ones are very small. If anything is just about accurate, it is, once again, the head, which is very unfortunate because for such a highly anticipated figure, this one really got the ball dropped on, which is, again, pretty unfortunate, because I do remember the build-up, and it was actually, I believe, this figure and one other that really hurt NECA and put it in the position that the fandom kind of sort of sees it in when comparing them to Monsters Arts and whatnot. But anyway, this is just a comparison between the two, and getting back onto sizing, this is a show-off that he is, again, in the 6-inch scale, so there you go. And so that just about does it for this review. History, we all know. This particular incarnation appears in only one movie. Detailing is pretty lacking. Only good part is the head. Articulation is pretty good for a retail price figure. And sizing is pretty average. So overall, despite my outlook on trying not to compare these to the Monsters Arts, this one is unfortunately a letdown. And for that, I'm giving this figure a 6 out of 10. Had it not been for the tiny spines and the stubby tail and the glossy paint job, well, I hate to sound harsh when I put it this way, this is unfortunately not one of NECA's best Godzilla molds out there. I can think of probably one other incarnation of Godzilla that is the bottom, or really close to it, but we'll... Do you guys hear something? Never mind. Anyway, we'll get to that when we get to that. And so that's it. I hope you enjoyed this review.
That's it for today's figure review. If you like what you see, or what I make, and wish to support me and help me create content faster or more efficiently, you can help me by supporting me on Patreon, and possibly get a video of your own made for you, or win several other prizes. You can also help me by supporting me here on YouTube, as well as Facebook and Twitter for anything else I may make in the future. And so that's it. I'll see you all next time.